Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp podcast. I'm your host, Morgan Klein, co-founder and CEO, along with my husband and company visionary, Devin Klein.
And together, with our amazing team, we are going to help you push past your limits, not just physically in our gyms, but right here, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on the Burn Bootcamp podcast.
Together, we will take on challenges and break through barriers to transform into the best possible version of ourselves. We are more than a gym. We are a community. Your community.
Let's go, Burn Nation. All right, Burn Nation. What's up, Burn Bootcamp? How's everyone doing? Welcome back to the Burn Bootcamp podcast. It's DK here. I got Morgan, Trish, and Aaron in the building for an HQ Crew episode. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving traditions. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. Healthy alternatives, some things that you can do. I know it's one day. You might still not have your plans all the way locked in. We're going to give you some last minute tips and advice on some healthy alternatives. And also, it's a big Black Friday month. We have just so much going on in Burn Nation. We got to share a lot with you. As always, some member questions, some burn stories in there, some new locations. I'm feeling good. I'm excited for Turkey Day. It's always my favorite, just to lay low, 4 plates of turkey and stuffing, and Morgan makes like these Brussels sprouts with like bacon on them, and they're like, she bakes them at like this right temperature, so like the bacon grease is like embedded in them. Oh,
I need some of those, Morgan.
Yes.
They're so good, so good. Our kids are just gonna start appreciating Thanksgiving. My sisters are in town. Cheyenne and Jamie, and my nephews. So
it's a full house at the Klein house.
Full house.
Yes.
So, I love my peeps, but I'm glad to be here for a little bit. Take a little break right before Thanksgiving and talk all types of things here on the podcast today, including Thanksgiving. So we've got Aaron with us. Before we get to Aaron, Morgan, Trish, what's your plan? What's your plans? You guys start just giving advice right away. People are like, last minute, what the heck do I do?
Don't worry, guys. We're going to get to it later. We're going to talk a little bit about just some last minute healthy dishes if you're looking for something, and we'll talk a little bit more about our traditions. But I'm excited. I love Thanksgiving because I love to cook, and I don't get to cook as much as I want to because I'm busy. So I really take it all in, and I go all out on the cooking on Thanksgiving. We got a full house, like Devin mentioned. His family always comes in, and between all 3 families, we have 7 kids at the house. So
wow,
it's loud, and they're all under 8 years old. So anyways, I'm excited to be here. We've got some exciting things happening in Burn Nation, some interesting articles that we're going to go through today, some hot topics, and just, health and fitness, and kind of our take on some of these buzz articles that you might see floating around, especially post-election. So we won't get too controversial, don't worry. But I'm happy to be here. Trish?
Yeah.
How are you doing? Are you ready for Thanksgiving?
I am. It's funny. I grew up in a racing family, and we've always had Thanksgiving. There's always a big race on Thanksgiving, so I've never actually been a big celebrator of Thanksgiving. But my husband is in NASCAR, and he is now home. I mean, he still has to go, and people think that he gets like a whole 2 months off. No,
a teacher that gets the summer off.
Yeah,
It
no,
doesn't work that way.
He still has to go into the shop, but he's at least home, not traveling. So we've just been really enjoying being home as a family because we don't get that very often. The NASCAR season, as you know, is from February to, I always say, Thanksgiving. So we really try and soak in as much time as we can together. So that's really what we're going to be doing for Thanksgiving, is just being together and, yes, enjoying some food. I also like to cook. I think we might need to bring back a Morgan Makes It, though, Thanksgiving edition, because I need your Brussels sprout recipe.
I got you.
So yeah, I'm excited.
I think I have it somewhere, so I'll go find it in the archives, and I'll send it out to everybody.
I'm gonna need that. What about you, Aaron?
Thanksgiving is actually my favorite holiday, so I'm super excited. So I am Erin Parker. I am with franchise development at Burn. I've been with Burn for about 2.5 years, and I am so excited to be here. I've never done a podcast before, but I'm obsessed with podcasts. So I think that this is amazing. So thank you guys so much for having me. If you guys are interested in opening up a Burn, please reach out to me. Franchising at burnbootcamp.com is the place to go. But Thanksgiving's my favorite. So prior to being at Burn, I was in retail forever. So Thanksgiving was kind of like the one day that you could rest and recuperate and be with my family. Fun facts, one of my daughters was born the day after Thanksgiving. So I feel like she's November 23rd. So we celebrated her birthday last week. But it's fun because she's kind of like that Thanksgiving baby. And Thanksgiving's absolutely my kids' favorite holiday as well. Just being with family. I have it at my house. I don't like to cook, but I have a great house to have it. So we have my family come over and my brother and sister and parents and all that kind of fun stuff. So it's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Burn Nation loves Thanksgiving. We love Thanksgiving, and it's a time for us to eat healthy, stay healthy, okay? But you can still enjoy, you can indulge, and we have some tips. So we're going to go into those in a little while. But before we do that, I wanted to introduce to you the newest, or rather a new location, location number 414, you guys. 414, shout out to Tallahassee, South Florida. My homie, Becky Patterson, her second location. If you know Becky, then you know how much of a treat it is to know her, and we're so excited to announce her second gym. I remember going down there to visit her first gym, and right before we were getting ready to go to the second block of morning camps, she takes me over down to this property, and we have to like kind of climb this like barbed wire. It kind of feels like illegal a little bit. And then we go onto this vacant land, and she's like, "This is it." And I'm like, "What do you mean this is it?" She goes, "That's where our building's going to be." And she built the building from the ground up and designed a lot of it herself. She has a beautiful like mural. If you know Becky, she's very artistic and very creative, very open, and has this beautiful mural on her. And that was her vision. It was her whole vision for her. She was like, when you come down this road, you're going to see on the left-hand side this giant mural, and this is going to be location number 2, and it's going to be like a staple of Tallahassee. Tallahassee is a very artsy place. It's a very artistic community. There's murals and paintings and things all over the place. And so I know how proud she is of it. And they are off to a great start so far. Congratulations to number 414, Tallahassee South, Becky Patterson, continuing to build her empire. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
And I also want you guys to hear from Abby Peak today. Okay, Abby Peak. This is our burn story for today. We have her video. This is Abby.
Hi, my name is Abby Peak, and I've been a member at Burn Kennesaw since December 2023. I am a stage 4 breast cancer survivor, and that's not something you hear very often, but it is possible. This all began on an afternoon in May 2022. I felt a lump, and as soon as I felt it, I knew something was really, really wrong. It turns out to be an extremely aggressive form of cancer that is extremely fast moving. Well, when the scan results came back, it showed that I had a lesion on my shoulder. The cancer had traveled there and had started infiltrating my bone. So that immediately made me stage 4, which was another blow after the fact of just having cancer. In all of this, God is calming my spirit, calming my mind, giving me people in my path that are speaking life over me. I went through 6 rounds of chemotherapy over 18 weeks, ending with an anaphylaxis reaction to one of the chemo drugs on my very last day. So I didn't get to ring the bell on that day. I was rushed to the emergency room. It was definitely not the ending of chemo that I wanted. I went back a couple days later, got to ring the bell, ended that process, and then went on to have a lumpectomy. And then after that, I had 30 rounds of radiation to my back and to my breast and lymph node area. So during this journey, I had so many people reach out, offered to take care of my children, to clean my house, to give me meals, to financially support us. Just an outpouring of love from my community in Kennesaw. My Baker Elementary family stood beside me and loved me through all of it. After all of this treatment, my body is worn out. I end up having a paralyzed vocal cord, where one side is just not moving anymore due to chemo. I end up having vocal cord surgery to have an implant put in so that I can speak louder than a whisper. I went a full year just being able to speak at a whisper. And as a teacher, that's extremely difficult. And I also developed lymphedema, where I have swelling in my arm. My lymph nodes no longer work on this side. I just celebrated this October 2 years being cancer-free. And burn is a big part of that story. After I'd given my body a little bit of time to rest and recover from all of my treatments, I said, it's time to get back to physical exercise. It's time to build strength again. It's time to build endurance again. And burn has done all of those things for me. The same hard work that we put in on this floating floor with mental toughness and physical strength is the same skills that you need to fight a health battle. So whether you know it or not, you're preparing yourself for all kinds of things that life may throw at you. Give us our promise tomorrow. How we spend our today is very important. Living your best life, and I believe that burn is a huge part of that for most of us.
Abby, thank you so much for sharing your story, your powerful story with Burn Nation. And you are such a fighter, and you have inspired so many people today. And if you are out there and you want to share your story with us here on the podcast, you want to inspire somebody else, you want to touch somebody else's life like Abby did today, podcast@burnbootcamp.com. Go ahead and submit your story. Just email us, even if you don't have the directions in your mind of what to do or how to shoot a video like Abby did. There's a beautiful video, Abby. Thank you for that. Just email us and get the ball rolling, and we'll teach you exactly how to submit your story to get it aired here on the Burn Boot Camp podcast. Thank you very much, Abby. Okay, you guys, this next member question that we have is pretty fun. All right. So, I know we're all thinking about food right now. It's about to be Thanksgiving tomorrow, but Ashley from Bentonville, Arkansas is thinking about fitness, as all of us burn people do. And she asked us all to share our fitness bucket list. What would be at the top of your fitness bucket list? And I'm excited to hear this from all of you. Don't get me wrong, Erin and Trisha. I'm excited to hear, but especially from you, love. I want to hear what your fitness. I've never asked you that question before, and so I hope you prepared. What do you think? What do you think is? I have 4 things that I could come up with. What do you think is one of the things on my fitness bucket list?
Man, trying to think of the things you have not done.
I feel like it's like hike. Like
So hike a certain mountain. Yeah. Okay.
Climb the peaks. That's number 3.
The biggest one in the world.
What's the peaks? Just so I know.
You might think that, Trish, but I don't want to take unnecessarily dangerous risks. I want to take risks, but not unnecessarily dangerous. So like, when you look at the death toll of like climbing Mount Everest or something like that, I'm not interested in that. How about the most exhilarating free climbs that I could do with like my technical ability, which is nothing.
Right. I just good job, Trish. Yes, that's really good.
Okay,
I should have known that.
Do you want to try one? What about you, Erin? You can't.
I guess.
I can't see anyway. Okay. I don't know.
Do you want to run a marathon?
No.
Okay, I knew you did like the 5Ks for the longest time, or a half marathon.
That just wrecked my knee.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's out.
You're a fast runner, though. I could see you like really want something that's kind of like a shorter distance but super fast.
I did that. One of the things on my bucket list was to tour the country and run 5Ks and win one, and I did, and it was great. I did 6 of them and I won one. It was fun, but my knee was just so bad afterwards. Yeah. It was just a balloon. My left knee was a balloon. I don't have a lateral meniscus in my left knee, so it's like sometimes if I'm overexerting myself, I'll get a bunch of fluid in there. My bones will touch. It hurts. Yeah.
All right. Do you want me to share mine?
Yeah, no, I just want you to guess. You still don't deflect my question. What's going on here?
Okay, so it's not run a marathon. It's not do a competition because you've been there, done that as well.
I'll give you a clue. Do you want a context clue?
Give me one clue.
Trisha is heavily involved in the production of this.
Oh, athlete games.
Oh, I'm gonna win Masters.
Oh my God, yes. You tagged me to see if I would let you do that, and I'm pretty sure the answer is gonna be no.
Well, I'm gonna have a
I
press
think
conference.
the rules and regulations don't allow for an employee of
Ooh.
HQ
Well,
to
I'm gonna have to be.
compete.
I'll have to be technically disqualified
Okay.
from the beginning, but I'll do it anyway.
All right. So
All right,
that's
we'll
2.
see. Can we amend the rules?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
All the trainers are giving me a lot of pressure to do this.
I did
Sure
see
they
you
are.
do the SAC with the trainers
Yeah.
in California.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think we can scratch the itch in other ways. Like you could do all the workouts and do it on video. You just can't win, which you're too competitive, which you'd be like, what's the point? But people want to see you do it because, they want you to talk the talk, walk the
But what
walk.
if we just amended the rules to say, no, I'm not an employee,
I was
technically.
just gonna say that. Are you an employee
No,
though?
I mean-
You technically
I'm
are.
the
You have a
employer.
salary from
Do-
Climb Franchising.
Yeah, you're right. I do.
What if we did
I'll
it
give it back. I'll give it all back. I don't want it.
What if we did it with you and Matt and you guys could do it side by side?
Oh, Matt won't do that. Matt won't do it because
No?
he knows I'll smoke him.
Well, he's already graduated. He did it one year.
did. He
When
got
he was
third
a
place one
trainer
year.
at Lake Norman, he competed and he was in finals.
So we need to find someone else.
So I
that-
think he's checked that off his bucket list. But okay, you have 2 more.
I want to
give me
do.
one more
I want to
clue.
do 20 muscle ups. Do you know
Okay.
what muscle ups are?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Which
well,
aren't something we do at Burn, so I'm surprised
No, they're
that that's
not.
your.
Well, because it's like it's a feat of strength to be able to do 20 muscle ups unbroken.
Okay. My shoulders could never.
They're already 95% of people can't even do a single pull up yet
Yeah.
until they train at Burn a lot. But almost like nobody can do a muscle up. And so I want to be, that goal is like, in order to get to that goal and to be able to do that, all the underlying things need to happen, like nutrition. You need to be light. You need to have like a strength to body weight ratio that's good. Things like that. So there's a lot of, I want to be like top tier. I've never been as in shape as I want to be, if that makes sense. And so that's going to get me there. And the last thing is I want to do 250 camps in a year with our kids.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's down the road when they're
Yeah.
able to work out. But like, I want them to love Burn so much that we're like,
Yeah.
all right, 250 camps this year. And then we go get after it, whether it's together or separate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? All right. That's enough about mine. What about yours?
I'm probably gonna underwhelm you, but you know me, I'm in like the here and now, not like in the future. I like one of my goals or like check off my bucket list is to do 10 pull-ups, like unbroken. I've only been able to do 5 or like 6, and I've really lost a lot of strength. So I want to just get back to that place where I can jump on a bar no matter what and just bang out some pull-ups. So that's on my bucket list for the near future.
Bang out some pull ups?
10.
10. Okay. Gotcha.
10 in a row. Are you writing it down
Yep.
on your phone?
Yep.
He's gonna create like a work.
I
back
know.
for you.
I know. He's going to be like, so what about those? How are you doing in those pull-ups?
What about you, Trisha?
So I also love to run. I have no desire to run a full marathon, but I've ran like a half marathon on my own, but I've never done an organized one. And I really want to run an organized one and win my age division.
Oh, there you go.
So that's a new thing in my brain. I will say, like, I don't do a lot of long runs, but if you keep up with your burn game, I've increased my speed so much, and I'll go for like a long run. I try and go at least once a week, but even if it's only like a couple times a month, I still can keep up my pace because of what we do in the gym. So y'all, it works. It works.
Very true.
And then I also pull-ups. I think there's just something empowering about them. What my struggle is, my PR is 11, but I
Nice.
cannot stay consistent with 11. Like I'll get 11 one day, and then like 2 weeks later, it'll be in camp, and I'll get 6.
Yeah.
And so I think what's frustrating to me is I'm not consistent with them. So kind of to you is I just want to be able to go up there and consistently
Yeah.
be able to bang them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
I
why
like
I have
it.
those
I
two.
like it.
That sounds fun.
It
I'll
does
do,
sound fun.
I'll do that with you. I'll work on it with you. We'll be accountability
The
partners.
3 of us.
Here we go.
I'll just,
All
I'll
right,
just,
Aaron,
I'll just drive.
are you joining us in the pull-up
I'm
challenge?
gonna drive in my car, and
Oh,
I'm
he's
gonna.
talking about running.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna
running.
drive in my car, and I'm just gonna stay slightly ahead of you. I'll train you like Rocky and his trainer,
Okay, do it.
and I'll play your fight music.
Yeah.
What's your theme song?
I play a lot of Eminem when I
Okay.
when I
Oh
run.
yeah, that's
this is
perfect.
right up
Yeah.
Dan's alley.
All right, Aaron. What about you?
Okay, so I'm gonna go and say I would love to be able to do a single pull-up. I know that sounds
Yeah,
not as
okay.
adventurous, but I
That's
would
okay.
love to be able to be strong enough to do that. I feel like I over the past have also lost a lot of my strength. and that is something I would love to be able to do. I used to be a runner for a little bit of time. I would love to get back to that also. It's kind of prioritizing my own time. And then the one thing I really, really want to do, and this is definitely on so many of my bucket lists, but not only just fitness, but also personal, is I want to hike the Grand Canyon. Like, I just feel like that would be something that would be so amazing. And just to be able to do that, I feel like would be something. I'm not a huge hiker, and I hate camping, but I would also love to be able to like camp and be in the Grand Canyon and do that.
And rough it, you
Yes,
know?
I feel like that would be such an amazing thing to be able to do.
I'm sure it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would love that
I
too.
did it in college, and I kind of want to do it again because I didn't really get to like the full experience, but it was amazing. The rivers down there are so nice. Yeah, no, you should do it. For sure.
I feel like it would just be such a great like experience.
Yeah.
You know, all around. So that's definitely on bucket list.
All right. Well, what is on your fitness bucket list? That's a great question.
That's a great question.
And you never know, because you might just inspire somebody to set their goals higher. You know what's important is at Burn, it's all about what you can gain, not what you can lose. It's ingrained into most of us generationally that it's all about a deficit or losing or less, or I need to lose weight or I need to eat less. How empowering and motivating are those notions? I don't think very empowering at all. I think it's much more empowering to say, what can you gain? Ask yourself the question, what can I gain? What can I do? What are our bodies are so capable. They're amazing, these human machines that we have. And so push it to the brink. All right, push it. It will adapt, I promise you. All right, set your goals high. All right, you guys. So we're going to get into the first storyline today. Obviously, we are fresh off an election not too long ago. And, you know, as we follow kind of the macro narrative here in our country, what really has intrigued us is this whole movement around major changes to the FDA that RFK wants. And so we have this article we can pull up from the New York Times, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who, Morgan can go into this in a moment, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. basically made a tweet, or I guess you call it a post on the X platform at this point. And he said, which I thought was really cool and something that I think Burn Nation, you know, and just the majority of our country can really get behind, is his tweet was, FDA's war on public health is about to end. This includes aggressive suppression of psychedelics, peptides, stem cells, raw milk, hyperbaric chambers, chelating compounds, ivermectin, I hate this word, I can never say it the right, hydrochloroquine, vitamins, clean food, sunshine, exercise, nutraceuticals, and anything else that advances human health can't be patented by pharma. If you work for the FDA and you're part of this corrupt system, I have two messages for you. One, preserve your records, and two, pack your bags. So a pretty powerful message saying, like, guys, we are sick of this country, the greatest country in the world, having the worst food supply. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is on a mission. He wrote this article. Morgan, why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, so he wrote this. Well, he didn't write this article. Somebody wrote it about
New York
him.
Times did, right?
Okay. You're scrolling a little quick there. Let me go ahead and just look on my own platform here. So obviously, RFK was a Democratic presidential candidate, turned independent, turned Donald Trump campaign surrogate. Obviously, his biggest tagline was "Make America Healthy Again." And listen, regardless of your political stance and where you kind of lean on that, you know, it's one of those things where now he's going to say a lot, and now it's like, what is he going to go in there and do, right? So if Donald Trump gives him a seat in his administration, he is going to challenge the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and the CDC. And, you know, you've heard us talk about it on here. You've heard me specifically talk about how I think there is corruption in some of these organizations, and that I love to hear that people are going to challenge that, because it's going to start and stop at the government level. There's only so much that companies are going to be able to do. But when there's, you know, bodies controlling or incentivized by supporting certain companies because of financial gain, it just makes it harder and harder for smaller companies to, you know, put the right things and ingredients into their food as well. So, you know, the synopsis of this article, you know, there's a lot in here. And so, again, articles are usually leaning one way or the other. So, but what I thought was something to share is he's very specific at what he said. He wants to do three things. One, clean up the corruption of the agencies, particularly the conflict of interest that have turned these agencies into captive agencies for pharmaceutical industry and the food industry. And then number 2 is to return those agencies to the gold standard science and empirical based, evidence based medicine that we're famous for when he was a kid. And then number 3 is to make miracles again and to end the chronic disease epidemic. So once again, whether you lean, whatever your political party is, I think for me, it's exciting to hear somebody advocating for our health and saying, hey, no more. We're the sickest that we've ever been. Our children are sicker. Adults are sicker. What's going on with our food and who controls it at the top at the government, and how can we go challenge that, and how can we end this corruption? If he can practice what he preaches, and this is something that we can really build some traction on over the next 4 years, I'm all for it. So it's an exciting thing for me, but again, it's all about what's actually going to happen and how much progress can he make in the time that he would have in the White House under Trump.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. How much progress can you make, and obviously this is an exciting time because it's about, potentially having real change to these problems that we've all known. We're not stupid, and we can see that
we know about them, but I think there's a lot of hiding,
especially
the
over the
true
last 5
cause,
years.
right? Why are we getting sicker? What's going on? What did we start doing? Sometimes you don't understand the impacts of certain foods that we eat, or, just our environment, right? Or whatever the case may be until years and years later. So now that you know better, we're just asking for us to all do better. And that's the message I think that he's portraying as well.
Well, it's honestly, as a mom, it's so scary. So, you see, and there's been recent, I'm not going to use stand-up strikes against different companies to where they're wanting to get in to understand why are you putting this stuff in the food in the United States, but it's not, those same ingredients aren't in your foods in different countries. Mm-hmm. And I've tried to go down rabbit holes to understand more, but then I honestly just get scared as a mom. I'm I don't know. I know it's good to educate yourself, but then you also don't know, sometimes the articles you read aren't 100% facts. I'm am I just scaring myself to scare myself? Because unfortunately, the position I'm in, there's not much that I can do. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that he is being vocal about this. And I do hope that there is action to what he's saying.
Yeah. I think we all deserve the truth.
Yeah.
Erin, your thoughts?
To echo what Trish said, I'm a mom of 2 older girls. So my kids are a little bit older, and to think about what I have, had them eat and put into their bodies and all that kind of stuff over the years is kind of scary to think. But I think the best thing we can do is to have somebody vocal and to actually go in and to see what kind of change can be made. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens come, the next couple months to see kind of if there's impact to be able to put it behind the words that are being said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's clearly too much regulation in general. And then when it comes to the conflict of interest, and I think one of the 3 points you mentioned in this article was the fact that RFK can see, obviously, the conflict of interest that happens between big food and big pharma and governmental bodies like the FDA regulators, right? Because if I'm able to say as Mr. CEO, hey, Mr. Regulator, look, I know this isn't going to really necessarily pass with flying colors, but if you push this thing through, a couple years from now, 5 years down the road, you might have this office, and that conflict of interest is really built in, and humans are motivated. I mean, show me an incentive and I'll show you the behavior. Mm-hmm. And, not only is there a conflict of interest, but there are far too many regulators. I think in the first place, I was listening to somebody speak the other day, and they said there's so many there's 450 governmental bodies in the U.S. right now, and I forget where I heard this, and he said it's like as if you were playing football and you went to go hand the ball off to the running back, and there's so many referees or officials on the field that the running back can't even go anywhere, and the defense can't even get to them. It's like the regulators are really clogging down the system and our ability to make changes overall. And so not only are there far too many regulators and it's clogged up and we can't make changes, but then you layer this conflict of interest on top, and all of a sudden you have individuals, malice motivating people with big fluffy incentives, and now all of a sudden we have red 3 in our Fruit Loops. And so, yeah, I'm excited for it. But Morgan, you said it, right? Like, no matter, this isn't about politics to me. This is about health. This is about what we all know in this country to be true. And that is, we spend the most on healthcare and we are the sickest.
Yeah.
So we got to fix it.
We
It's
gotta do
just
something.
obvious. Yeah, we're not doing a good job at that. Okay, let's go to Sammy. Sammy is out of Denver, North Carolina. With Thanksgiving tomorrow, what are some healthy alternatives I can make for Thanksgiving? So we're talking about healthy food. All right, so let's get into some practical tips. Aaron, I'm going to start with you on this. What are some healthy alternatives that you make for Thanksgiving that are home runs?
Oh my gosh. So as I said, I'm not a good.
It's called,
Yeah,
it's called Boston Market.
Yeah, no. So I am actually gluten and dairy free. So everything at my house that I make is going to have gluten and dairy free option or alternatives to it. So I do my own stuffing. I do my own. I do also it sounds like your
My Brussels
Brussels sprouts are better than mine. But I do ones that are with bacon. They're definitely not a healthy alternative, but bacon and balsamic vinegar and all that kind
I'm
of
sure
great
they're
stuff.
great.
But yeah, so I mean, we just substitute all of the butter and the heavy creams and that kind of stuff at our house, which I think definitely helps.
Yeah.
My mom makes an amazing like stuffed mushroom that has all kinds of like vegetables and that kind of stuff in it, which is also kind of a great alternative to regular, stuffing or dressing, as they call it in the South.
Yeah.
So different things like that. There's again, my house is a little bit different because we do for Thanksgiving it's very traditional. It's kind of like the one day that we do feast.
Yeah.
So
Do your kids also follow like the gluten-free and dairy-free, or
for the
do they get their own things?
a little bit of both. So
Yeah.
things like mac and cheese and that kind of stuff, obviously they don't do it. But if you come to my house, most things in the pantry are going to be substituted with gluten-free and dairy-free stuff. So it's my younger daughter definitely should be more of a gluten-free kid, but being a teenager is a little tough. So
Yeah. That's how I think I've learned so many of my like healthy swap outs is for a while, Devin and I were like completely paleo. And I remember one Thanksgiving, I learned how to make everything paleo friendly. And then the last couple of years we are, Devin's brother, my brother-in-law, is gluten-free. So I just make sure everything's gluten-free. Cause I'm like, I don't want him to not feel like he can eat something. And so that has helped me and challenged me to say like, what are some good healthy swap outs? I would say Devin's is Brussels sprouts, but my favorite swap out from a healthy perspective, and I think we're going to be able to link it in the show notes, is my sweet potato casserole.
Do you have a blog post? Is that what
I have three or four that we're going to share with you guys.
Oh, nice.
And because I used to do a segment called Morgan Makes It. So if you've been around for a while, you know that I do love to cook. And, here's my sweet potato casserole. So
that might be my favorite.
This
That's
is
pretty good.
dairy free, and then I use like almond meal instead of like any sort of crust, and then we don't use a ton of we don't use butter at all. I think I use a little bit of coconut oil maybe, but yeah, this would be my favorite swap out from like a healthy perspective at Thanksgiving. But yes, we've got a lot of different options that we're going to share with you guys. So if you are looking for a last minute recipe, click the show notes and we'll have them linked in there.
I also make Brussels sprouts. Mine aren't, I don't think, as good as yours, but they're also.
Devin really hyped my Brussels sprouts up.
We'll be over tomorrow. Don't worry.
I feel like mine don't have bacon in them, but I do a balsamic glaze that I make with like honey, and so I think it's pretty delicious. They're oven roasted, so they're not fried. And then I also do because we have a green bean casserole. I feel like is like always on a table. I don't like a green bean casserole. I don't like a creamy situation. I don't know why. I just don't. I also think like a little bit of it is I know how many ingredients went in to make that creamy situation, and so I am like less is more sometimes. So I make like a green bean with like almonds that is delicious, and my kids will eat it, so that makes me happy. And then also I don't do a fried turkey, so just a regular turkey. And I think in my brain I'm like, okay, if I can have a couple vegetables that I know are actually still healthy, right, that the health part isn't removed from it because of all of the different concoctions that go on top of it, and then my protein, then I feel like I can go enjoy my not so healthy things a little bit more. Like I'm going to eat like the pie with like all the things in, all the things in it. Like don't take the butter out of my pie.
Yeah. It's good balance.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I also do another like green bean casserole type of thing, but I'm with you. I can't do a lot of the creamy stuff. Now, like I've been gluten and dairy free for about 12 years. So
No creamy situations.
Yeah.
Whoops, my bad. I didn't
I just
even
want to make
notice
sure
that until
the
you just
folks
said
at home
that.
caught that one.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Cool.
Thanks for inviting
It
me
made
to
me
the
laugh.
podcast.
It made me laugh in my head so much. I had to say it out loud.
I love it. Yeah, but I do like we swap it out for what most people think is soy sauce, but it's amino acids, and it's actually like they're good for you. You know, so it's funny to me though. A lot of people, I always when I say I'm gluten and dairy free, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." But if you come to my house, 95% of what you're going to eat is gluten and dairy, and most people have no idea. Yeah, they have no idea until you tell them, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I could taste it."
You're like, could you?
Like, really? So yeah. But even like butter, we use either a coconut butter or like coconut oil for that, or we use there's all kinds of great alternatives now that are either avocado oil or olive oil that you can use in place of it, which is fantastic.
Okay, well, if you make a pie with that, just don't tell me.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to bring one in though one time.
So we got some more recipes coming down the pipeline here, Morgan. Are we foreshadowing and teasing those for a little bit later? Are we going to talk about those right now?
No, we're going to put them in the show notes. And, you know, while we're at it, why don't we talk about just our favorite Thanksgiving traditions before we move on from Thanksgiving? The one item that people always think is weird that I do cook, Devin, guess what it is?
That you do cook?
Yeah, on Thanksgiving. What do I have to have on Thanksgiving? That isn't traditional.
Cheesy potatoes?
No. Ham.
Oh, that's
So,
traditional to me.
Okay. My grandma always made me a ham growing up. I prefer ham over turkey.
Who doesn't think ham?
Well, turkey's like normally like the main protein.
When the Pilgrims broke bread, they broke bread with all the meats.
All right,
All
fine.
right?
I guess that's not weird. But that is one of the things I have to have at Thanksgiving.
Okay, so
is that.
So let me do something real quick before we actually Trish, I want you to go into your routines, and then I gotta remind everybody of what Thanksgiving actually is.
Okay.
Okay, I wrote down some notes because we forget sometimes, but go ahead with your Thanksgiving traditions.
Well, I mean, when I opened it up, I told you guys, like, I didn't grow up really with a Thanksgiving. So before it was literally going to the racetrack, and we would have Marie calendars delivered to the racetrack.
Oh, wow.
So now that we're not in that phase of life, and, you know, I have like my own family, we do I think the normal stuff of watching the Macy's Day Parade, start cooking all the things. So it's nothing that's really stands out specifically since I literally just started I've always celebrated Thanksgiving because you're about to tell us what the meaning of it is, but actually like pouring into what all goes into Thanksgiving within like the last, I would say 5 years. So it's kind of a newer holiday for me, and I love it. And hey, and I'm also a big football fan. Lions play tomorrow, right? So I think that's also now going to become part of my routine.
Yeah, your boys love it. So it's a good day. It's a good day of relaxing. Devin and I also like to play cards on Thanksgiving. Because there's been a couple of Thanksgiving that it's just us, and we haven't like gone back home. You know, we don't have family here. So like for when the kids were really small and they're napping, we're like, all right, what are we gonna do? So we play rummy and things like that. But that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy competition and winning.
I know you do. Yes, I think I've beat you a handful of times though.
Okay.
Anyways, what is Thanksgiving?
Okay,
Devin?
so I'm going to read it because I think it's important that we all remember. Okay, so Thanksgiving in the United States traces back to 1621 when the Pilgrims, a group of English settlers, had a feast to celebrate their first successful harvest, in Plymouth, Massachusetts. After a very difficult winter where nearly half the colony had died, they received help from the local Native Americans who taught them crucial survival skills, including farming local crops. To give thanks for the harvest, the Pilgrims invited the Native Americans and about 90 of their people to join them in a 3-day feast. So they had all types of ham up in there. It's going for 3 days. And this gathering is often regarded as the first Thanksgiving, symbolizing gratitude and cooperation, settling differences. The tradition continued in different forms over the years, but it wasn't until 1863 during the Civil War that President Abraham Lincoln proclaimed Thanksgiving as a national holiday encouraging Americans to come together in gratitude and peace. Since then, Thanksgiving has been celebrated annually on the fourth Thursday of every November, focusing on themes of family, thankfulness, and sharing. So it's setting aside our differences and coming together. That's just what breaking bread is all about.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, when you can eat a meal with somebody, you just share that common human bond.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to remember that as brutal as history was before 1621, when this happened, people were still able to come together. And sometimes we forget about how barbaric history has been, and that even in 1621, I mean, it was nasty.
Yeah.
And today we live in this environment where we still have these tendencies and these emotions, but we obviously don't go around mass murdering each other and taking over each other's tribes and ransacking each other's land. It, a lot of times manifests in different forms of hate and misdirected love. And I just think Thanksgiving is a good reminder for all of us that, we are living in the best time ever. Yeah. We're living in the greatest country at the greatest time ever, regardless of who the president is. None of that stuff matters. All that matters, look back 100 years, and then 100 years before that, and then 100 years before that, and you just keep going back, and you couldn't help to have a different perspective if you have a historic perspective. If you can look back beyond, yesterday or last week or the moment somebody made you mad, 10 years ago, you look back and you see that throughout history, we've gotten more nice to each other. We've gotten better to each other, and use this Thanksgiving to send a couple messages to somebody that you might have made angry over the last year, and just tell them how much you're grateful for.
Right now, emotions are still very high from the election. I've seen actually a lot on social about don't let it ruin your relationships, and turn the media off, and just remember the relationships and who people are and who they are for you. And just go appreciate that. So it's a good reminder, Devin. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
All right. We got another article.
Okay.
Actually, before that.
What are you going to do?
The other tradition of Thanksgiving is Black Friday, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So can't forget that. I know sometimes it feels like it gets earlier and earlier and earlier. And I know we've had an offer all of November. But that is the other thing that, you can't forget. Remember when people would camp out, after their Thanksgiving meal on Thursday, they'd go camp out somewhere. And thankfully now, I just do it all virtually. I'm I am not going anywhere on Black Friday. I know you used to work in retail, Erin, and it was just always chaos.
Yeah, I've worked for really great companies in the past, just like I do now. And the nice thing is people were lined up, but I've worked for companies that never opened on Thanksgiving Day, which is really nice.
They waited till the next day. That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's crazy out there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Black Friday, we need to make sure that you know about our Black Friday special. So listen up.
Hey, Burn Nation. It's Devin and Morgan Klein, and we are so excited to share with you Burn Boot Camp's new Black Friday offer.
For a limited time, check out your local Burns exclusive Black Friday offers, and we're adding on 30 days of free Burn on Demand.
Burn on Demand is the perfect way to take Burn with you wherever you go. Whether you're traveling, busy at home, or wanting some extra options like recovery or mental strength, our on-demand platform has you covered with unlimited access to your favorite workouts anytime, anywhere.
This way, you can experience the best of both worlds. Join us in gym for that unbeatable community experience, and then keep your momentum going at home with Burn on Demand. It's the perfect way to stay on track, no matter what your schedule looks like.
Don't wait. This offer is only available for a limited time. Click the link, fill out the form, and let's finish this year out strong together.
We can't wait to see you on the floating floor and on Burn on Demand. Let's make this season the start of something amazing. See you soon.
Two claps on two. 1, 2. Oh, look at us go, Morgan. Check it out. Black Friday is here. Okay. All right, everybody. Let's continue on. We are going to pull up a member question. This member question, we're going to talk. Actually, you know what? I want to go to a health segment first, a story. Let's go to a scientist just discovered a guaranteed way to live longer, healthier, and smarter. This is an Inc.com article.
Also, just a very
clickbaity
title.
Guaranteed.
That's a strong word when we talk about living longer. But let's hear it. What do they got?
It's guaranteed is definitely a tough word. Yeah, how can you guarantee anything? But at the end of the day, what this really is showing is, when it talks about research, corrects the genes for your longevity code, what it's really saying is strength training really works. That's what it's saying, that picking up heavy weights, putting them down, and repeating that over time is going to increase your muscle mass. It's going to increase your bone density. It's going to increase the health and the size of your brain. It's going to increase your cognitive clarity. It's all types of really interesting science is coming down the lines on strength training. And so back in the 2012 parking lot days, Morgan and I went to a good old Dick's Sporting Goods when we couldn't afford it and bought $600 worth of dumbbells and said, no tens. That was nothing less than tens.
10, yeah.
That was because we knew from the very beginning that milk jugs, they weigh 8 pounds. So you gotta lift harder, stronger than, and you have to adapt your body to things that are beyond just normal life. And this article really goes into the science behind it. But just talking about strength training, there's a reason that we don't have dumbbells less than 10. And there's a reason that if you do bring any neoprene, like little green or pink 2-pound dumbbells into the gym, I might have somebody go to the store real quick, buy some duct tape, and then while you're not looking, I might duct tape those 2-pound dumbbells to the ceiling so that you can never reach them again, because your milk jug's 8 pounds, and we've got to train harder than we play, I guess you could say. So, and I've done that before.
I was just going to ask, have you actually done that?
Yeah, I've done that twice. Only to people that, I was like messing around with. Yeah. They were just, people that I could do that to. Not like people I had a good relationship with that would actually think it's funny that they came into the gym, and I told them 15 times, like, no more 8s. You're stronger than 8s, okay? Like, they're like, but I don't want to get bulky. I'm like, you're not going to get bulky, I promise. Yeah. If you wake up tomorrow and you look like Miss Incredible Hulk, then you fire me immediately. I'll give you all your membership dues back, and just, I'll keep training you too, and I'll do it with the 8-pound weights, right? And so, and then that never happens, obviously, because the strength training is so important to just add musculature to our frame, and that's what's going to increase our longevity and our posture as we grow and as we age. You atrophy, and so hypertrophy is the opposite of atrophy. Atrophy means I lose muscle. Hypertrophy means I gain muscle. There's a couple ways to gain muscle. One, strength train. The best way is to strength train in the hypertrophic range, which is 8 to 15 reps to muscular failure, or what we call it burn form failure. Yeah, you got to train to failure. Most people aren't going to do that with 8-pound weights, right? Trisha, Morgan, Aaron, you guys are what? When you do like a shoulder press now? Like we just did a whole month, of 45 pounds over your head, not 8. Yeah. Right.
I think I wanted to share a little bit on this article. The study that was published talked about people in their 60s and 70s who do heavy resistance training, somewhere between 6 and 12 reps of 70 to 85% of their 1 rep max.
That's the hypertrophy.
That they reported no loss of muscle strength against the people that did not, strength train and did lose muscle. And so I think, Devin, as you're saying, like 60s and 70s, it's so important to continue to do that. There's a lot of benefits with your cognitive health as well. And that's kind of like what's running in the back of my mind. I'm in my later 30s, but I have dementia and Parkinson's that run in my family. So I know that if I continue to build that muscle now, that can help with my cognitive decline in the future. So again, it's not just about how we're looking and not looking like the Incredible Hulk, granted, it takes a lot to do that. There's so many more things, and I think this article did really lay it out well.
Yeah, I actually have a line or 2 sentences that I wanted to call that really stuck out to me, because I get into the science behind it, but then I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, but if you just think about the basics, and I feel like this lays it out for us, I want to do the best that I can with what I have and what I have been given genetically. I want to live longer, and I want to increase my health span. Alive is good. Alive and healthy is better. And so I think that that's just a reminder. It's not, and I would maybe guess that a lot of people aren't picking up those heavier weights, not because of what you said about not wanting to get bulky, which is sad. It's just so sad, to be honest, because that's not going to happen. It's really just going to improve, obviously, your overall health in the long run and your longevity. So I hope more people start to like uncover this and these myths that people are saying about, you know, bulky strength training, all of that just goes away eventually.
Yeah. Good article, Aaron.
I think there's nothing better than having a great fit body with like muscle. Like,
Are you the strongest you've ever been, like since working out at Burn, or what's your journey been like with strength training, just as a woman too?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I kind of fell into that. I don't want to get bulky. I have dancers, so that was the other thing. It's like the long and the lean, and that's kind of the thought that I always had. So I never trained with anything more than a 5-pound weight. Every now and then I would go up to an 8-pound weight in some of the classes I did before my camps at Burn. Now, like I took a camp yesterday and I picked up 25s, and I was like, that's something totally different for me. And I felt so good and so proud of myself to be able to do it, because I couldn't do that when I first started Burn. Yeah. But I also, and to bring it back to real life. I mean, then I went grocery shopping last night. And I was bringing in all my groceries, and those are things that I definitely
challenge.
Yeah,
one
exactly.
trip.
But I mean, that's real life, and it's the only way I got there was to be able to be physically strong. My mom is very active and has been her whole life, and has kind of gone back and forth. And she was a marathon runner and she did all that kind of stuff. But she always had said that the best that she felt is when she was actually lifting, and it didn't have to be 100 pounds, but to be lifting 20s and 25 and 30s, and just to be able to keep that muscle mass.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, thanks.
Well, listen, I want to encourage everybody to pick up heavier weights, not only because it's so important for your musculature, but more importantly, it's good for your mental health, but also the physical health of your brain. Morgan talks about, those kind of memory loss diseases running in her family. Now there's proof, like proof that we used to think the same way we used to think that at some age you would atrophy. At like 40 years old, you would atrophy. We now know that as long as you stay in hypertrophy, right, or maximal muscular gain, that's kind of 6 or 8 to 12 or 15 rep range, and you're failing out with your weights, we now know that regardless of your age, you can build muscle. You don't have to atrophy. We used to think that you couldn't make new neurological connections or new neurons in our brain. We now know that you can. Structures like the hippocampus that sit in our brain, it looks like a little kind of like a figure 8 or something like that. And it sits right in the center of your brain. And it's responsible for short-term and long-term memory. And this is where the deterioration of the hippocampus is largely, I think this is correct when I say largely, if not absolutely scientifically correlated to these diseases. So then strength training and conditioning and building your anaerobic threshold and reaching VO2 max and all these things that you can do with conditioning as well also show positive effects on brain health. And so when you're thinking about, why do we program the way we do at Burn, it's because, strength training on one hand 3 times a week, conditioning on the other hand 3 times a week, so that we can build our brains and our bodies. Because longevity is the most important thing. I mean, just imagine, close your eyes right now and imagine somebody in your life that you see in their 70s or even their 60s, and they look like they're about done. Mm-hmm. Right? We all know somebody that way. And God bless my grandmother Klein's soul, but, she was 64 when she passed away. She had been on an oxygen tank for 15 years before that. Like she was still smoking. And it's like I looked at her and I thought she was 80, 85, right? And so it's never too late for any of you, especially if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s. It's not too late to start picking up weights and strength training. Your body is an incredible machine, and it will start to become healthy. And one of the last things that I'll say is, around this whole topic, this maybe doesn't have anything to do with, what do you guys want? I can't understand you. Pull something up? Okay, there you go. Here we go. You just put, you got it? Okay. Exercise training is increased, Exercise training increased hippocampal volume by 2%, effectively reversing age-related loss in volume by 1 to 2 years. We also demonstrate that increased hippocampal volume is associated with greater serum levels of BDNF, a mediator of neurogenesis, in the dentate gyrus, whatever that means. So this is a peer-revised medical study. Exercise training increases the size of hippocampus and improves memory. So just a little, we like to throw these scholarly journals at you whenever we can. Thank you guys for pulling that up. But exactly what I was just explaining there, it really does have benefits that go beyond just like what you look like in the mirror. But I will say what you look like in the mirror also is evidence. It's also evidence of how healthy you are. It's not everything, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to sit here and also pretend that, if we do have 38% body fat and we feel good today, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're healthy. And also, on the flip side, you can have 12% body fat, and that doesn't also necessarily mean you're healthy. And so there's a lot of other factors that go into it. But if you can do one thing that you can control, in our opinion, it's strength train multiple times a week and have like really hardcore pops of conditioning that push you, that demand more out of you than you would demand out of yourself on your own. And then you do that with a community wrapped in and accountability built in. That's called Burn Boot Camp, and that's what we're trying to do out here. All right. So any other comments on this article on strength training as it relates to what they're talking about here?
I was just going to say we talk a lot about influencers on social media, and some of them are not giving you like the right information, but there's one that I just have fallen in love with. Her name is Train with Joan. And her bio says that she started getting fit at 70, and she's like been on the cover of Women's Health magazine. Like, she's just so inspiring. I don't know how old she is now, but she crushes it. If you go check her out.
Who is it, Trish?
Her name is Train with Joan on Instagram. And
see if we can pull up Instagram. I want to see Joan.
I really want to work with her.
Let's go. We gotta
get her into a burn boot camp.
Brand champion, maybe.
Somebody send this to Joan if you guys.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to call it out. I was like, hey, does someone know Joan? Can you hook me up? And I want to meet her.
So how did you start following? Wouldn't you see her somewhere out there?
On social media. Yeah, I think like I follow like Women's Health magazine, and when she was on the cover, I was like, oh my gosh, this lady she's a badass.
Very fit,
so she's like is in the gym. She's lifting weights.
There she
and
is.
She's just living her best life.
Let's
at 70.
go, Joan.
I know, right?
Oh, there she is on the cover of Women's Health.
Yeah. So anyways, it's just an example, a real life example of someone who started lifting later in life and doesn't go to Burn Boot Camp, but we want her to. So Joan, come check us out. Come take camp with me and Morgan, and let's do 10 pull-ups together.
Let's go to a transformation picture right there. That one on the bottom left, y'all. Yep. Click on that one. All right. Let's see. Train with Joan. On the right is her now, and on her left is the then. She said, I started these challenges to show you that it's never too late to turn things around. Each one means the world to me. And the best part is seeing the transformations, big and small, that each of you make. This time, we're focusing on those small daily wins that add up to big changes mentally and physically, from our weekly Atomic Habits discussion to workouts that work for any level. It's about finding what makes you feel your best. If you're interested, comment, join. And you can go check out her and what she does over there too. So we got to get Joan into Burn Boot Camp, and we got to get her repping out her pull-up PRs with us.
Congrats, Joan.
Our Burn ambassador named Kathy Bullock at our Lake Norman flagship. Kathy is now in her early 70s, and Kathy is still busting out 6 to 8 pull-ups at a time, easy. I saw Kathy when she was late 60s. I saw her do 14 one time. It was incredible. I'm like, in my head, I was like, I can't do 14 right now. And here's Kathy. She's 68 years old up there doing 14 reps. So we truly mean it when we say it's never too late. So text your grandmas, your grandpas, your pappies, your mammas. Tell them, get into Burn Boot Camp. There's Kathy right there.
Yeah.
Kathy, 7 minute, 2-second plank there for Kathy. If you guys are not watching this, we are streaming on YouTube. You can watch it.
She's doing way more now after that.
That's so cool. It's in this building, by the way, here downstairs.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We are going to go to one more member Q&A, and then we're going to kind of get out of here. You know why? Because
Gotta get ready for
it's
turkey.
Thanksgiving. We got to get ready for Turkey Day. Kim from Mallard Creek, North Carolina, wants to know, what is your opinion on taking BCAAs as supplements? What's your opinion on taking BCAA as a supplement? Do you guys want to do round table first, and you guys want to go around the horn, or do you want me to kind of lay the foundation here from a trainer perspective? What do you think? What would be best, Morgan?
Yeah, why don't you lay it out, and then we'll just all quickly talk about our experiences with BCAAs.
Okay, all right. So there's big. What are BCAAs? Let's start there. Branch chain amino acids. What are branch chain amino acids? These are the building blocks of protein. Where are these found? These are found in protein sources. Type of protein sources are there? There's whey protein sources. There's plant protein sources. Okay, you guys follow me so far? Mm-hmm. All right. BCAAs are found in both whey and plant protein sources, but complete amino acid profiles are more found in whey protein sources. Now, you can combine multiple plant protein sources together, such as a pea and a rice protein. And you can combine them together, and it mimics the whey profile, the more complete profile, but doesn't necessarily do it. Okay, rice is low in leucine. Pea is probably the best in terms of a vegan option, vegetarian option, protein, plant-based, but still not going to be as just objectively, chemically, from a chemical structure perspective, it's not going to be as objectively sound as a whey protein molecule. So if you're a whey protein consumer, whey protein, it's going to have your leucine in it, okay, which is leucine, by the way, is the big magical, how would you say, the magical amino acid. Leucine is, it's really, the three essentials are leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and leucine is what is the muscle building property, just to put it very, very bluntly and simply. Okay, so plant-based proteins don't have high concentrations of leucine. Pea is about the best, but rice is very poor. Most of them are very poor. So you would then want to have a BCAA supplement, branched chain amino acid supplement, to then combine with a plant protein. Erin, for example, whey protein, for whatever reason, and the chemical structure of it doesn't sit well with her. It makes her feel bloated or whatnot. For me, I don't feel anything. It's like drinking water to me. My body does well with it, absorbs it. And so there's a little kind of foundation. Is, some people will choose plant-based for whatever moral or ethical reasons they desire. Some people will do it because physiologically our body maybe rejects something, one food group over the other. Maybe it's philosophy on whether you eat dairy-based products or not. But whey protein, plant-based protein, both have branched chain amino acids. You probably need a supplement if you're a full-time vegan vegetarian. My advice would be supplement with branched chain amino acids. If you're eating meat on a regular basis, you probably don't need that supplement. You don't need to spend money on it. But we definitely want to make sure that we're getting leucine for sure. Leucine. It's critical for muscle protein synthesis. That's very important. So there's a little bit on whey versus plant protein. And, Morgan, I know that you kind of dabble in both at points in time. Do you not?
Yeah, I do prefer to do plant protein. It just gets along with my stomach a lot more. But since the new formulation has come out, I've actually heard that it's not bothering people as much. So I am open to switching back to whey. And I know it tastes really good too. But BCAAs, I have taken supplements in the past. But to be completely honest, like between my creatine, my collagen, my protein, my burn meals, I'm kind of like, okay, there's only so many things I want to stack. And I do know I'm getting it through food sources and when I am, drinking our whey protein. So I don't think they're bad. The article that I was reading talked a lot about you just need to be careful with supplements interacting with other medications. Sometimes if you do too much, it can also make you nauseous. So you just got to see what works for you. And again, where else you're getting those sources from, but I'm not against it. Yeah. And I love that we have it in our whey protein.
You mentioned real quick, another type of protein is collagen protein, which is different than whey because whey is dairy based, right? It comes from the milk of cows. Mm-hmm. Collagen often comes from cows, but it comes from the connective tissue and bones of animals, fish, chickens, that type of thing. Yeah. So, there is that source as well. And it's often good to supplement with collagen because the protein for the connective tissue is thought that it may really, target our connective tissue to make it stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm mine the same as you, Morgan. I feel like we're aligned on a lot of things when it comes to nutrition. I did for a while take BCAAs as like a supplement. Really, it was because of the caffeine. It was like an extra caffeine. If you guys have heard me talk on this podcast, I love anything that has caffeine in it. But I think also to your point, I do collagen every single day. I do my creatine every day. I am super hyper focused on protein and really getting my protein from high quality sources. So knowing that I am hyper focused on protein, I feel good about where I'm at from a BCA perspective. So I don't include that as a supplement, but I understand why people would. But it's just not something that I do currently anymore. Yeah. What about you, Erin?
I do not currently take it either. I do our creatine and I do our collagen. I love our collagen. Actually, that's like the one I make sure that I get every single day. I also really strive to get all my protein in every day. So it's not something I've done in the past. I wouldn't be opposed to trying it, but it's not something that I feel like I need.
Yep.
Here's what we do need. We all need 100 grams, at least a minimum of protein.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, then the answer is probably not. I think knowledge is power, and knowledge is potential power. You then have to go execute, but we've had some focus meetings here on the Burn Bootcamp podcast recently, and one of the main topics has been how to help our members intuitively identify what 100 grams of protein looks like at a baseline. As a human being, you should be getting 100 grams of protein on a daily basis. And ideally, you want to get that from different sources with complete branched chain amino acid profiles, but also adding collagen, right? And if whey, for whatever reason, that you feel fit, you don't like whey, and you take plant protein, that's fine too. Then start to supplement it with branched chain amino acids. But I think either way, building collagen in there is really important as well, right? Because these types of proteins, they all come from different sources. They're all going to strengthen they're going to target different sources. Like, yes, collagen specifically supports and strengthens connective tissues and skin and tendons and ligaments and cartilage and bones, and so where the whey protein complete branched chain amino acid profiles are really going to develop our musculature. So it's all necessary, but no, you have to know. We want you to be empowered. We say internally when we're talking as a leadership group or as an HQ team, we're like, education is retention for our members. When we educate our members on what they need to be doing, it keeps them around, because now we know what to do, and we feel confidence when there's a lack of clarity, or when there's a lack of confusion and increased clarity. We feel more confident when we know exactly what the road ahead looks like. So for those of you that might be in a position where you have this perceived plateau, which in my world is your own inability to make the adjustments. Sorry if that sounds offensive. It's just true. There's no such thing as stagnation in life. You're either growing, you're dying, you're going up, you're going forward, you're going backward, you're going up, you're going down, right? It's just your inability to make an adjustment. And so let's do this. Let's break out like a Lose It log or a MyFitnessPal log for 3 days. And let's log everything we eat, not to win a prize, not to have a competition, but to just educate ourselves on what, most of us are habitual. That's what diets are, like the habitual consumption of food. So most of us eat kind of like the same things, the same 20 foods. So just get really familiar with what those 20 foods are and how and what quantities and ratios you can start to eyeball them. When the chicken breast that's the size of your fist of your hand is 6 ounces, and 6 ounces of chicken breast is about 40 to 45 grams of protein, then all of a sudden you're very empowered, because you just need a chicken breast, a double scoop of afterburn chocolate whey protein, and maybe some eggs in the morning, and you're good to go for your 100. Okay, and that's baseline. So you're going to atrophy, you're going to lose muscle if you don't give your body the building blocks that it needs, the branched chain amino acids it needs, isoleucine, most importantly leucine and valine. If you're not giving your body these 3 amino acids on a regular basis, then you're not going to build muscle, and especially if you're not breaking the muscle down by strength training. So it's break the muscle down by strength training, get your branched chain amino acids in, whatever form of protein that best suits your body. We just went over this, and 100 grams of that protein or more, and you're going to see significant improvements in your life all around. That's my word. All right.
All right.
Any closing remarks, you guys?
No, just happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hope you enjoy your day and enjoy your food and your football and your shopping and your family and all the things. So thanks for being here today.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you got
thanks
it,
for
Aaron.
being
Thanks
here.
for being here. All right, you guys. We're out of here. Subscribe on YouTube. We're on YouTube. We're live. We're going to keep coming with more Burn Boot Camp episodes. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.